of the most important things about the impact model is the ability as a leader to delegate with accountability. And so many organisations that I work with say to me, it's so embarrassing now. I've delegated work out, it hasn't come back on time, I just don't bother anymore. And I'm doing most of the work myself. So remember the Q3, the monkeys, giving you all your work, and you're just so overwhelmed that you say, leave it with me. So what I want to do is just do a little short chunk on delegation and make sure we really understand what delegation looks like and feels like. So if we turn to the board, what we've got is, the first thing we need to know is, what does good look like? So when I'm asking you to do something, I'm not telling you what good looks like. I'm exploring what you think good looks like. So let's move to the board. One of the first things that we're looking at delegation is we want to know, what does good look like? So not what I think good looks like, that's part of the discussion, but primarily my curiosity is, what is the person I'm delegating to? What do they believe good looks like? And I'm going to get them to articulate them, talk me through it, so that I'm comfortable that we completely understand what the quality, quantity, expertise, excellence that I'm looking for when that work comes back to me. So that's the first thing. The second thing we need to look at, and really consider this, is we often delegate to people in our team who are the most reliable, who we've always used, and it becomes really simple for us just to favour one or two people. And in fact, we overload those people, but they're so darn good at getting stuff done for us that we constantly just go to those people. So as a leader, we need to be really aware of that, because we're actually failing the others in our team because we're not growing those skills, and we're overloading one or two people just because they're bloody good at juggling stuff and getting stuff done for us. So we need to be really aware of that. So there's two things with delegation. One is you could delegate directly to somebody because of their skill set and you want that person alone to do that task. Or you could go to the whole team and go, I've got these 2 or 3 pieces of work to be done. This is the time frame. Who would like to volunteer? Who would like to lean into the space and perhaps be a little bit uncomfortable and stretch and take on this piece of work for me? So they're the two things with delegation, is never underestimate the power of allowing somebody to lean into the space and taking a piece of work, because they'll own it. If you give work to someone and they don't want it, they'll be petulant and it will just detract from what you're trying to achieve. So delegations are really cool. If I've got some shitty jobs that need to be done, I will put them up on the board, say to the team, I need a name beside these by the end of the day. If I don't have volunteers, I'm going to delegate them directly to people. And people generally lean into the space. The other thing is, and it's a mindset piece, we need to be we really need to be driving people to lean into discomfort. And so people that have a belief that their ego is tied up with success, so it's got to be 100%, they've got to be right, we need to be really careful about actually rewarding the right things. And by that I mean, we want to reward tenacity. We want to reward effort. We want to reward people because they got engaged with something that was way outside their comfort zone, but they really leant into that space and they did their very best. That's the pat the dog. That's the stuff we want to reward. What we don't want to reward all the time is, you're so smart, you're so pretty, you did these things. So we're stroking egos, because people who believe that their self-esteem is tied up to their ego won't lean into a space where they might fail, because they will see it as not being successful. But in fact, leaning to a space where I might fail is success, because I'm trying something new and I'm pushing myself outside my comfort zone. So we're trying to build the acceptance of discomfort. So we're trying to build in people being comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's the second thing with delegation. Who? Direct delegation or voluntary delegation. When? Now this is the piece that I would suggest 90% of the people fail at. They say to me all the time, well, I asked them to do it. I said, I want it by the end of the week. What does that look like? What does by the end of the week look like? It's like if you've ever had children and you've said to them, I want you to clean your bedroom, darling. And by 3 o'clock on Saturday, you've just dragged them and said, I asked you to clean this room, it's not been done. And you get really grumpy, and then you go and do it yourself. Whereas if you actually said to your kid, well, as far as they're concerned, the day hasn't over until I'm in bed, so I could have cleaned my room right through to 9 p.m. at night. right? So when we come back to when do I want it by, generally I always say no later than 2 or 2:30 p.m. on any given day. Why? Why would I want something back to me no later than 2 or 2:30 p.m.? Generally, because I want to use that piece the next day. So it's coming into me, and what happens if it turns up at 5 o'clock and that person goes home, I've got it on my desk, I look at it and go, change it, write on it, do it. I do all the extra work. I do the piece to get it right because I want it first thing in the morning. Whereas if it comes to me at 2 or 2:30 p.m, I can spend 30 minutes going over it, I can pull that person in, I can delegate back in, I can brief them, I can teach them, I can show them, I can send them away, get the rework done and pull it back in. And it's not embarrassing to ask for people to keep reworking. That's not embarrassing. That's about teaching and making sure they fully understand what excellence looks like to you. And so it's really important that we give them the opportunity to do rework. We need to articulate what that looks like. But the when, it's by 2:30 p.m. on Thursday. On the board I've got 2 p.m. at Thursday. That's really important because the next piece is when do I check in with them? And what I've got is I check in, perhaps if it's due on Thursday at 2 p.m, I would check in at the tailgate on Tuesday morning and I'd say, hey Byron, I'm just checking in with you. I need to know that you're tracking okay. Is there anything you need from me to deliver that piece of work on Thursday at 2 p.m? And you'll say to me, no, I'm all good, thanks Sal, I've got everything I need. Great. So my responsibility as a leader is to check in that we're tracking. Also, this is the accountability piece, because if they fail to deliver, there is no excuse because I have done everything I can to engage and support and make sure they've got everything they need. The next check-in is on the morning of the delivery. So I want it at 2 p.m. on Thursday. I check in at tailgate or by email or by phone on Thursday morning. Once again, 8 a.m, just checking we're all good for 2 p.m. That's the end of the conversation. They're either yes or no. At that time, that's their time to change the parameters if they need to. We are good, but I'm waiting for something from Carol, which is now not going to be to me by 1:30. Can I push out my delivery till 2:30? Yep, that's acceptable, it's signed off. So I've done that, I've checked in, so I know who's doing it, they know when it's coming into me, they know what good looks like, and then at 1 minute past 2 on Thursday, when it's not on my desk, this is the accountability piece. And this is the uncomfortable, courageous conversation. So this is the not negotiable. This is, I've asked for it, I've checked in, I've supported, I've patted the dog, I've made sure everything's been done to make sure you can deliver work for me. And if you fail to deliver, then I have a performance management issue. I have a problem, Houston, and I'm going to sit down with you and we're going to have a formal conversation as to what was it in the process that I could do differently next time to help you land this, something that you could do differently next time to help us land this, and or find out whether or not you've just avoided it, you didn't take me seriously, and I'm actually going to write it up. It's actually going to be something that goes onto a file and says, you failed to deliver. It is a weakness of character, it is whatever it is. But first of all, I'm going to be curious, what could I have done differently? How could I have supported you? Then we're going to be curious about what you'd do differently, how you could have been supported more or how you could have delivered something differently. And then I'm going to find out whether or not it becomes an HR or people and culture issue, and we're going to take it to a performance management issue. Because that is where terrorism happens, is that we don't like the friction of that piece. We don't like that conversation. And so it doesn't turn up at 2 o'clock and I just ignore it. And then a week later, I'm really embarrassed from asking you, even though I'm the boss, you've got all the power. And next time I don't delegate it, I just do all the work myself. And we're back into our cycle of doom and we've got terrorists working for us. So let's not do that. And we're also not teaching and growing our team and building the legacy if we don't delegate properly. So really quick summary of delegation. What does good look like? Ensure that both parties absolutely agree on what good looks like. The second piece is, am I direct delegating or am I asking for voluntary delegations? Depends on the project, obviously. Voluntary, I love because it means people in the team can lean into a space that they're not really comfortable in and they can grow and stretch. Then when is it going to be delivered by, and it's got a date and a time, and absolutely no shit, last minute has to be to me by this time. Then my diaried responsibility. So I would go in when I delegate, I'll go straight into my diary and I'll put in my 2 checkpoints. So I delegate it to you today, and as soon as you leave my office, I go into my diary and I put in my 2 checkpoints so that it just pops up next week on Tuesday morning. Checking with you at tailgate, that's right, I'm just checking, Byron, that you're delivering that to me on Thursday at 2 p.m. Is there anything you need from me? Have you got it sorted? And then my second diary check-in will be that first thing on that Thursday morning. Are we tracking for a 2 p.m. delivery? And that's what delegation looks like. Tight, succinct, we know who's doing it, what good looks like, and the accountability. As you embark on this fascinating journey into the world of neuroscience and cutting-edge research, I want to ensure that we're on the same page, legally speaking. Firstly, it's essential to clarify that I'm not a qualified neuroscientist, licensed therapist or counsellor. My role is to present you with meticulously sourced information from neuroscientists from around the world, drawing down from their doctorate papers and university research. I've taken the liberty of translating the scientific knowledge into layman's terms and spiced it up with my own unique interpretive dance, because learning should be both fun and actionable. However, please bear in mind that the information and courses provided here are intended solely for educational and entertainment purposes. They are not a substitute for professional medical advice, and I strongly advise consulting qualified health professionals such as physicians, coaches, therapists, psychologists for your personalised guidance. Your well-being is of the utmost importance to me. Therefore, while I strive to deliver intriguing insights, remember that making significant life changes require thoughtful consideration and appropriate guidance. You're invited to venture forth with me on this journey of discovery and growth, armed with knowledge and understanding to enrich our lives in meaningful ways.